श्रीवास विद्यावाप्य विबुधो समतां दधानं कुर्वे सदा हृदि गुरुं करुणाकराख्यं लक्ष्मीनाथ समारंभां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतः तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोर्रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये मातापिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्मयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वय भट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् श्रीमान् वेङ्कटनाथार्यः कवितार्किककेसरी वेदान्ताचार्यवर्यो मे सन्निधत्तां सदा हृदि. In the previous lecture, we saw about what it means to exist. Can something eternal ever be created? Or will something that is everywhere, something that is omnipresent, can that be ever created? And then we also discussed about Advaita versus Vishishtadvaitha on existence. As in, the existence of a single entity which is having both chit and achit as its sharira, where sharira is not just physical body, but a technical definition given by the scriptures that is accepted by Vishishtadvaita. That Chidachit Vishishta Brahma is the cause of the universe, and that is eternal, where Chit and Achit are also eternal. So there is a creation versus transformation kind of a situation. Like how they say matter can be neither created nor destroyed. We say in reality, this Mula Prakriti also can neither be created nor be destroyed. It cannot be created or destroyed ever. It can only be transformed. And that transformation is what we call as creation. Why do we have to give this kind of an explanation? Can't we simply go the Advaita way? There is a reason. Advaita talks about two different realms of existence. In fact, there is a third one. We are not getting there because it is not necessary for our context. Whatever we experience here is, as per Advaita, a state of illusion. In Vishishtadvaita, this illusion is not accepted. It is accepted as a reality, but as a temporary reality. The permanent reality is the state of moksha. Advaita will say permanent reality is the state of moksha. Vishishtadvaita will also say permanent reality is the state of moksha. But Advaita will say that is the ultimate reality, Paramartha. For Vishishtadvaita, because it accepts it as a temporary reality, it has to answer how creation really happened. In the case of Advaita, the question would be different. The question would be about avidya. This avidya, is it eternal or did it come one fine day? That would be the question. So, did avidya come at some point of time to Brahman? Then how did it come? If it can come when it is not there, it means it can come later on as well. That would be a problem. Therefore, the traditional Advaiti says avidya is anadi. It has an anta. You can get rid of avidya with Brahma Vidya, but that avidya itself is anadi. It is beginningless. So it has been there since forever. Now we don't say in Vishishtadvaitha that there was one avidya, and that avidya nivritti, getting rid of that avidya, is only moksha. We have not defined that way. Therefore, we have to talk about the nature of existence in greater detail. So, in Kevaladvaita, or let us just put in very simpler words, all the schools of all the sub schools that accept Shankara Bhagavad Pada, what has he said? He has said only Atma is real, nothing else is real. Now in Vishishtadvaita we have said Atma is real, but others are also real. What are the others? Atma can be Jivatma or Paramatma. Other is what? That Jada, that Achit. We have called that also as real. Now this real Jada, we are saying that is also eternal. How can you claim it to be eternal? We said it gets transformed from Sukshma to Sthula and so on. Big Bang, Big Crunch, whatever they call it. Now, given that we have studied in this way, it is also existing. What is the purpose of its existence? Is the first question. The second question, is it independent of Paramatma? We answer as follows. We say, eternally existing entities do not have a reason why they exist, but they would have a purpose that needs to be solved with their existence. They could have, in fact. So, for example, let us take Jivatma. Jivatma could be Baddha, Mukta, or Nitya. What is the purpose of a Nitya or a Mukta? The purpose is simple: serve Bhagavan eternally. That is what they are doing. Nityas have been doing it since eternal time. Muktas got mukti at some point of time and they have started doing it. What about Baddha? Baddha's duty is to become a mukta. So the purpose of existence is to attain moksha. How do you attain moksha? Can I attain simply by chopping off my head? No, if I chop off my head, I will get only naraka. By following Brahma Vidya, one can attain moksha. Okay. That is our purpose. What is Ishvara's purpose? Why should he exist? His existence does not serve any specific purpose, but his existence serves all existence and all purposes. If not for him, nothing would be the way it is. Nothing would be there. When we say he is there, we imply that he, the controller of everything, is there. Chit and Achit are both in his control. They are both in his control only. So, there is no way, absolutely no way, for us to imagine any kind of Achit, any kind of Achetana to be independent of him. He is Sarva Shariri. It is his Sharira only. If you think it is very, very different from him, absolutely different from him, that would be wrong. When you understand that its existence, despite being eternal, is a kind of eternal dependence on him, then you understand the concept. So there is eternal dependence, right? Yasya chetanasya yad dravyam sarvatmana swarthe niyantum dharayitum cha shakyam tat sheshataika swarupam tat tasya shariram. We have seen this before. So now let us, now that we understand that okay, this exists, let us try to understand what Achit does, what purpose does it have. Why did it come into being? Such a question cannot be asked because it is eternal. What purpose does it have? Might sound nonsensical because it does not have control of itself. It is not sentient. It is not intelligent, right? Non-living things, they have nothing. What purpose can they solve? In reality, they also solve some purposes. What do they solve? They solve, for instance, the problem of us jivas not being able to do anything. For us to perform any kind of activity, we need a usable body. But having a usable body is not enough. Outside the body, there should be so many things. Think about it this way. I am here inside this physical body, but the body is inside a room, sitting on a chair with a table in front. This room also has some cupboard which has clothes. Now on the table is a laptop. Outside, there is a kitchen, there is another room. So there is some furniture, there are vessels, there is this, there is that, there are so many things. But I need all of them. I need the vessels to prepare food. I need food to eat so that I sustain life. I need the floor to sit on. All of those are necessary. So, on one side, the Jivatma has a physical body, a physical usable body, because of which it is living. But just having that body is not enough. To be able to do the fundamental requirements of a living thing, we need to interact with the outside environment, which again has lots of different types of manifestations of the same Mula Prakriti. So, at the end of the day, this Achit is inferior to Chit. Krishna declares it in Bhagavad Gita. All of this non-living thing is inferior to and meant for the Jivatma. When I say meant for, it doesn't mean that another person's currency is meant for me. It exists to serve some Jiva in some way. Likewise, Bhagavan is superior to all the Jivatma and he is the purpose of existence of us. We exist to serve him. Simple. If that is understood, the most important teaching of Vishishtadvaitha would be understood. Let us move on to the topic of Indriyas. Now, we have Karmendriyas and we have Jnanendriyas, correct? Now, in Nyaya philosophy, a question was raised about the Indriyas. They said, You talk about your indriyas. Look at your nose, your tongue, and your eyes. Hmm? We said Gandhavati Prithvi, Gandha Tanmatra is associated with Prithvi, and the nose smells, right? So, any kind of smell, as it is associated with Prithvi, we can infer logically that the Indriya for the nose came from Prithvi. Oh, then what about the tongue? The tongue tastes. There is rasa. Where does this come from? This comes from jala. Then there are the eyes. What do the eyes do? The eyes get to see. That means they came from Tejas. So, with logical reasoning itself, we are able to establish that the nose came from the earth, the tongue came from water, and the eye came from Tejas. That's all. It is as simple as that. And let us give an example for this. They said, any form or color, taste, smell, and so on. An entity that displays just one of these. Think about it. A deepa, a lamp, it shows only form to us. Because of the lamp, we understand rupa. Therefore, this deepa is tejas. In the same way, eyes also, they show only the rupa. Therefore, they also came only from tejas. That is how we should understand. This is a rejected bias. See, giving knowledge about rupa alone, how do you really understand it? The primary cause of understanding the form, the shape, whatever, that is not the eye. Let us take the example of the same Deepa. It is helping us to understand the shape and form, but it is not the primary reason. The primary reason why we are able to see it is the eye. The eye is able to see with the help of light that gets reflected from other places. So we should understand it that way only. Okay, what if we say that I is Tejas because it is a secondary reason to understand the Rupa? That would also be wrong because it is the primary reason. Okay, what if I say it is in some way a reason? That would also be problematic because to see the form, Tejas is the reason, right? That much is accepted. Now, you could be able to infer the existence of things, the shape of things that are not even visible to you. Something that is not directly in front of you. With some kind of a sight, if you are able to see even that. Would you call even that as Tejas? So, arguing in this way, that if you say that Gandha is associated with Prithvi, then it will imply that nose came from Prithvi. That argument will not work. The second part that we are seeing here is about a Vedic statement. Just give me a second. So, in Subalopanishad, there is a statement. A doubt is raised based on this. Prithvi undergoes laya in Jala. Jala gets laya in Tejas. In this manner, it talks about each and then ultimately it goes to Akasha. So during deluge, during Pralaya, what happens? We said Akashat Vayuhu Vayoragnihi Agnerapah and so on, right? The reverse of that happens. So Prithvi goes and gets dissolved in Jala. Jala gets dissolved in this way. It goes on till Akasha. But then it says, the Upanishad says, Akasha gets dissolved in Indriyas. And Indriyas get dissolved in Tanmatras. Does this make sense? All these days we were saying that Indriyas are different. Indriyas did not create Akasha, right? Did we ever say Indriyas created Akasha? So Akasha gets dissolved in Indriyas and Indriyas get dissolved in Tanmatras. In that way the Upanishad has said. Therefore, it means that from Tanmatras the Indriyas came and from Indriyas Akasha came. Now, what is this Tanmatra? Tanmatra is a sukshma state of being, an infinitesimally small state of being of the bhutas, the panchabhutas. So from that only the Indriyans came. Isn't that how you should be saying? Instead of saying that they came from Ahankara, say that they came from Tanmatras. In this way, the Purva Paksha asked. But we have an answer for that also. The Upanishad indeed says that Jala gets Laya in Tejas and so on till Akasha. But when it talks about Indriyas, it does not say that Akasha undergoes Laya in Indriyas. And likewise, Indriyas join with the Tanmatras. That is how we should understand. We should not understand it as Indriyas getting dissolved into the Tanmatras that were the cause of the Indriyas. This is clarified by the use of the word liyate in the Upanishad. Without saying liyate or liyante in the context of these Indriyas and Akasha, we should understand the word that has been used. When talking about Indriyas and Tanmatras, it does not say liyante. And when it talks about Akasha, it does not use the word liyate. Therefore, it is not a dissolution. In Mahabharata, another question was asked. In Mahabharata, it is said that the ear is only Akasha and the nose is only Prithvi. But this is another misinterpretation. All the Indriyas have come only from Ahankara. And each one of them get uh, emboldened to do whatever they do as their properties through one bhuta. So Prithvi indeed helps the nose to perform its function. Water helps the tongue. In this manner, we can say about the bhutas helping the indriyas and nurturing them. But nurturing the indriyas does not imply being the cause of everything. That should be understood. Now, some people came and argued. You said there are indriyas, fine. But then you divided them into karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. Why should you do that? Karmendriyas, they exist. Do they or do they not? Nyaya philosophy says they don't exist. You have jnanendriyas, eye, ear, nose, and so on. 6 of them are there that help us to sense and are therefore called jnanendriyas. Karmendriyas don't exist. Why do you want to say that karmendriyas exist? Why should we believe in that? We say if we are using logical reasoning to establish the existence of jnanendriyas, then in the same way, you can use logical reasoning to understand karmendriyas as well. If with logical reasoning, it says that rupa, rasa, shabda, sparsha, so on, they are the cause of getting the jnana. They are the primary cause. And then you are saying that how are they the cause? Because they are manifesting as eyes, ears, and so on. If you see that way, then what helps you to walk? What helps you to pick up something? And so on. What helps you to walk? Feet. What helps you to pick up something? Your hands. So you should accept that hands and feet also exist. What is the problem there? That should be understood. And it is very important for us to understand these explanations because there are lots of statements in the scriptures. Anybody can misinterpret at any point of time. We therefore follow the path of the Purvacharyas. We cite what they cite. Is it clear so far? Let us go a little further. In the Vedas, Buddhi, Ahankara, and so on, they are listed along with the Indriyas. So can't we say that Buddhi and Ahankara are also Indriyas? We don't say. Why don't we? These are tattvas. That does not mean that they are Indriyas. How can you say so? How can you say that Indriyas exist in the way prescribed by you, described by you? There is one Indriya called mind, Manas. It is one Indriya that exists inside of us. That is very powerful. That Manas transforms in so many ways, gets so many things accomplished for us. So, why should we assume that there are separate Indriyas called Buddhi and Ahankara? When the need to establish their existence as Indriyas has not ever come. That's a very important question. There were some more people. They said each person has only one Indriya. That one Indriya is spread out throughout the body of humans. Likewise for animals and so on. So this school of philosophy in Buddha, one school of Buddha, it said each person has only one Indriya that is spread out throughout the body. It displays different properties at different places. For example, at the eyes, it gives sight. At the ears, it helps you hear, and so on. We say that is not so. The Veda has said there are many indriyas. As it has declared it to be so, we will accept it that way. That is the right way. Now, these Vedas, they have also said more things. For example, when you die, it is not just your Jivatma that leaves the body. Your Indriyas also leave the body. In this way, the scripture has declared. So, what will we do? On one side, the Veda says Indriyas will go along with the Jiva. They will also leave the body and travel. As it has been said so, we cannot accept these Indriyas to be spread out throughout the body. They exist at specific points. That is how we should explain. But then they asked questions like this. If this Chakshurindriya is so small, how is it able to see big things? It is getting support through Tejas and processing information using the mind. That is why it is able to see such big things also. In this manner, we gave answer to that. In this manner, a lot of discussion happens on the topic of Indriyas. Let us come back to Akasha for a bit. We discussed about Akasha before. We said Akasha is space. Nyaya philosophy says that Akasha is not visible to us. We say it is visible. Space that is occupied by something is recognized by us very easily. Look at that sky is blue. What are we referring to? We are referring to a region of space only. So, we say that Akasha is also visible. Now a question is asked. Akasha is not known through any Indriya. Can you infer its existence through your eyes? You are calling it blue sky, but are you able to establish that space exists there by just using your eye without any prior knowledge that there is something called space? That is not going to be possible. Likewise, the other Indriyas are not going to help. Correct? Indriyas with the ability to announce. Among them, there are nose, ear, and tongue. These three cannot establish the existence They can only feel the properties. The nose feels the property called smell. The tongue feels the property called taste. In this way, they are operating. Akasha has no rupa, no indriya, nothing to teach us by itself about its existence. It is important for us to understand that the eye can only show those things that are visible. So, your nose cannot establish the existence of something. Ear cannot establish the existence. Tongue cannot establish the existence. They can only feel, right? A smell or sound or taste. What about the eyes? The eyes can establish the existence, infer the existence only of those things that have a form. So eyes are also not going to help. So what is going to help at the end of the day? Is your skin going to help? No, because Akasha does not have any property of sparsha. I can touch a solid. I can touch a liquid. What do you mean by touching space? Therefore, Akasha can never be inferred by Indriyas. Indriyas are there, but they are incapable of identifying Akasha. In this way, the argument was proposed. The answer to it, think about it a little. It sounds like a very intelligent question because they say each Indriya is doing its duty, but Akasha is beyond it. Therefore, it is beyond the recognition. We say the properties are recognizable for us. When I say I look at the blue sky, there I experience blueness. What has that blueness? What is giving me that blueness? Of course, light is coming and entering my eyes that way. But whatever, when I say something is of some color, it means it is reflecting some color, whatever, right? But what is it in the sky that is giving this color, whatever color that I'm seeing? Even space, when you look at it, when you look at outer space, you would see something or the other. Maybe you would see just black, but you see black, right? So you might call it black space, whatever. So we are experiencing something. We are experiencing blackness, blueness, or something. That experience that we have is helping us to identify Akasha. So it is to be understood by us. There are entities that do not have any physical form. For example, there is Kala, time. Time does not have any form, yet you could establish the existence of time with just pratyaksha. This has to be understood. I hope it is clear so far. If there is any doubt, please feel free to ask. Ramcharanji, do you have any questions related to what was discussed in today's class?
I was not present while we were explaining how Indriyas were created.
No, that see how Indriyas were created, that was actually covered in one of the previous classes. Today was more of a clarificatory. class. We are going over those shlokas that discuss clarifications. So what happens here is that certain statements of the Vedas appear to say that Indriyas did not come from Ahankara. They were discussed. And then Nyaya philosophy says, look, you are saying it came from Ahankara, but by logical reasoning, I can establish that nose came from smell, tongue came from taste, and eye came from tejas. So these indriyas. When I say nose, eyes, I am not referring to the physical organs that we have. I am referring to the indriyas. Remember that. So the cause of these indriyas are these three respective panchabhutas. In that way, they argued. We refuted it by saying, no, that is not how it works. And we gave examples. That is the part you missed. But did you understand this part where I said it is argued that the indriyas are incapable of inferring akasha? The eye can only understand something that has a form. The ear can hear only sound. The tongue can only experience taste. The nose can only experience smell. Skin can experience only touch. Now this akasha, space, it has no touch, it has no smell, it creates no sound, it creates no taste, no smell, and it is not having any specific form for the eye to be able to grasp. Therefore, it was argued that akasha cannot be grasped by using indriyas. And we gave a response to that by saying no, there are specific properties that can be inferred. The fundamental property of space is that it can contain things. And depending on what it contains or what it allows to pass through that region of space, we experience its properties. Therefore, when we look at the sky and say the sky is blue, what are we meaning by sky? That sky is a region of space that we are calling as blue. Correct? So with these properties, we are indeed able to infer. And how do I infer that blueness? Through my eyes only. Therefore, the Indriyas are grasping the existence of Akasha. That was our response. Is this clear?
Yes, Swami.
Is there any other question that you have?
No, Swami.
Okay. So I think with this we will conclude today's class. In the next class, we will try to speed it up a bit by discussing more things rather than discussing about how people perceive this and how they argued and how we replied back. Let us try to understand the concept as concept a little more. Okay. So with this, I would like to conclude today's class. Thank you so much for attending. श्रीवत्सवं सकलशोधिकौतुकस्य श्रीवासराघवगुरोस्तहिं तस्य विद्यावापि बुधोत्तमतां दानं पूर्वस्तार्दिगुरुं करुणाकराख्यम् कवितार्क्यसंहाय कल्याणगुणशालिने श्रीमते वेङ्कटेशाय वेदान्तगुरवे नमः।